This narration contains disturbing content. Viewer discretion is advised. The hospital talked about her constantly. Every ward has its legend. The ER has the man who survived an accident that could have come straight from the Final Destination series. Hospice has the young kid who, when every organ failed at once, should have died but miraculously recuperated 2 days later. NICU has the baby born so many weeks premature there shouldn't have even been a chance. Until there was. And the psychiatric ward has Amanda Jameson, the patient with the invisible hairs in her eye, the woman who reveals not a single sign of psychosis until the itching starts, the one who the nurses had whispered about for months after I was hired on. Fresh from a nasty divorce and ready to tackle anything else the world could throw at me. The world decided to throw me Amanda Jameson, and I was assigned to her case immediately after she burned herself with acid. That level of self-harm comes with its own level of psychosis, and I thought I was prepared and ready to meet the living legend. Until I stepped into her room, I wasn't nearly prepared enough. I had worked psych my entire medical career, so I thought I had seen it all. I had seen several acid burns, self-inflicted, but nothing quite like Amanda Jameson. She was so young, and you could tell she had been so beautiful before her demons took a hold of her. She insisted that her demons was a hair she couldn't quite reach. She insisted she was better off in the psych ward. Her features were twisted. What very little skin that had grown back in burn patches was pinched, pruny, and an irritated red. It was as if she had fallen asleep in the bath. Fallen asleep in the bath after taking a sewing needle to her own eye. The eye had to be removed before she was brought to the psych ward for healing and therapy. The nurses started whispering about her again, this time commenting on how much worse she looks now than she did before the acid incident. I got what details I could from the gossips, as exaggerated as I'm sure they were. Her medical history and notes were peppered with comments from doctors that no longer worked at the hospital. They no longer worked at any hospital at all, as far as I could tell. I had tried to contact the ones who had managed her case before me, but they'd all moved or changed their numbers, or simply dropped off the face of the planet. The fact that Amanda Jameson's case had made so many reconsider their career choice should have given me pause. It should have made me wonder and worry. But I was confident. I was proud. I was a doctor at heart, surely. I was wrong. My first weeks with Amanda were rough. She was coming down from her psychotic break and was still very convinced there was something in her eyeball. She had to be reminded daily that she no longer had an eyeball, just an empty socket with not nearly enough nerve endings to register something like an itch. She wasn't having it for the longest time. I saw in her past notes that this belief went away every now and again. I wanted that for Amanda. I wanted her to be in the clear for any amount of time so we could get her head on straight, so to speak. She'd dig at her eye socket. She'd dig at that socket until it was raw. She'd dig at it until I called for a specialist. One of probably 10 who had seen her before me, I'm guessing. I wanted to make sure she wouldn't cause infection. I wanted to double-check that my knowledge was correct. That an empty eye socket can't register something as intense as the itch she was describing. The specialist treated the scratches in her eye socket. The specialist confirmed that I was correct. The specialist tried to talk to Amanda herself, but Amanda still wasn't ready to listen. I knew her case was a case I'd have to exercise perfect patience for. Everyone has a sane moment eventually. Amanda's sane moment came almost a year into me treating her. For 10 months straight, she had dug at her eye socket during our sessions, scratched and scratched and scratched. She had demanded mirrors, begged for tweezers. Then one day, she simply stopped. Her sane moment lasted for 2 months, the first time. In that time, we lost a lot of nurses assigned to her room. nurses that had revealed no sign of quitting before that. This, too, should have given me pause. I simply assumed it was because of how Amanda's face was healing. Her eye socket was perpetually swollen and shiny, sometimes leaking pus or other fluids. We had to fight infection in the socket constantly as she refused to stop digging at it for the longest time. She wasn't pretty to look at. In an unprofessional setting, I may even call her horrifying. I would soon enough learn why the nurses quit. Not from them, of course. They disappeared the same way the doctors assigned to Amanda's case before me disappeared. I would soon enough learn why Amanda was able to just quit. See, I have a theory. I think Amanda is a carrier. I think she holds the key to some horrible disease we've not yet diagnosed and studied. We've all been thinking she was crazy this entire time, but I'm no longer all that sure. When Amanda reached her sane period and her itching stopped, I started itching. I thought maybe I got too close to the case. I thought maybe I'm too wrapped up in this. I thought there's no way this is connected. But it is. And I bet the other doctors and other nurses would back me up if they would talk to anyone. I haven't spoken to anyone either. I've been doing horrible things behind my own closed doors, and I haven't returned to the hospital in a few weeks. I quit without notice after my 3rd week my itching started, which was about 1 month into Amanda's sudden recovery. Jesus, I know I sound crazy. I think at this point I am. But I have kids who never really knew me growing up. So when they're old enough, I want them to know that I tried. I'm trying to express that with this recording, for whoever finds it. I'm trying to answer what questions you're going to have when you roll my corpse over and see what I've done to myself. I'm trying. Let me get back to the point, before I'm too far gone. Let me get back. The itching started in my left eye, just my left eye, just like Amanda. And again, I want to clarify that I recognized how crazy that was. I recognized that, and I tried to fix it. I tried not to think about it. I tried to keep my regular appointments throughout the day. I tried to stomach Amanda's twisted, burnt-up smile every session, while at my very core, I was accusing her of doing this to me. I hope she didn't see the blame on my face. I hope she's well. I doubt she knows what she is. The itching started, and it didn't stop. I eventually wasn't able to remain professional. I left with little notice. The first unprofessional thing I've done in my life. See, I've always been professional. See, I've always been intelligent and level-headed. And now, I'm a stammering, repetitive, unprofessional, crazy fool. A crazy fool who is half-blind. My very own incident happened a few days ago. I'd locked myself in my house. I live alone thanks to my own flaws. I have no friends thanks to my obsession with my job. I have no job thanks to Amanda fucking Jameson. The itching was so bad, I had seen what Amanda had done to escape it, and I wasn't going to let myself get that bad. I simply wasn't going to scratch it. Yeah. I had it all figured out. I slid my left hand into an oven mitt and wrapped it 6-7 times with duct tape. The thick gray kind, the kind that nothing gets through. Then I clumsily did the same thing to my right hand. I was only able to wrap that one a few times, but I figured it'd do the trick. I thanked my ex-wife for her obsession with daytime TV and how vehemently she had demanded a smart TV. I never got into the damn thing when I was buried in my work. But now I understand what the fuss was about. I didn't need my hands to work a remote, so I used my voice and a couple of magic words, and suddenly I could binge any show I wanted. The TV distraction didn't last very long. I was eventually seated at the desk in my office, waiting for the fire in my fireplace to really heat the place up. I tried clumsily to look through my paperwork. My goal had been to shuffle through some old cases and refresh my medical knowledge. I didn't want to be dull when I jumped back in the field, and the damn itching was gone. I couldn't grab the papers, though. As my frustration grew, the itching grew, As the itching grew, my ability to stay logical and level-headed melted away. I couldn't take it any longer. I jerked my leg up onto the edge of my desk chair and slammed my head forward. I dragged my eye back and forth across my rough jeans. The initial relief was almost orgasmic, but I kept dragging my eye across my knee, and eventually I felt the burn. Through the irritation, under it all, no matter how long I went, was the itch. I screamed. I don't know when I started or how long I screamed, but I did. This was exactly what Amanda had described to me. This was exactly what she was trying to get us all to believe. It was real, and she had given it to me. Eventually, I stopped dragging my open eye across my dirty jeans. My watering eyes turned towards the fire, and I knew what I had to do. I had to follow in Amanda's footsteps and remove this fucking eyeball. The eyeball was the obstacle. Get rid of that, and there will be no itch. I dragged myself to my fireplace and peered in closely. My vision was blurred, of course. My eye was watering and itching like a bitch. I had no hesitation, no moment of, I shouldn't do this. I pressed my mitt-covered hands against the grate in front of the fire and dropped the left side of my face into the flame. I held it there. I held it there as I smelled my hair burn from my scalp. I held it there as I heard the crackle of my skin blistering and busting open in the heat. I held it there until I felt the damned eye melt from my socket and drop onto the log nearest me, sizzling and slipping down the charred wood like a runny egg. I was victorious, but at what cost? Some minutes later, I was still screaming in pain, though I patted the fire out with the flowered mitts taped to my hands. My skin was burning. My scalp was burning. My eye still itched. I'm recording this now, so you know, whoever finds me, whenever you find me, that I tried. I tried to understand the woman and the legend that is Amanda Jameson. And then I tried to keep myself from doing exactly what she'd done. I won't last very long now. I definitely won't last as long as Amanda has.